Now, Cavan star Aishling Sheridan joins us to talk about the launch of the Lidl National Football Leagues this weekend. The LGFA and Lidl have announced that 50 games in the 2021 Lidl Ladies National Football League will be streamed live and available to view for free. It's going to be on social or on a course on TG Car. Aishling, good morning to you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good to talk to you back in Ireland. Last time we had you on, you were sunning yourself in glorious Australian weather. So how difficult or otherwise has been the recalibration to the cold and bitterness here?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit different. I think it hasn't stopped raining since I've got home. Yeah, no, I'm getting used to it now. I think Melbourne was coming into its winter stage anyway. So I was probably leaving one expecting to go home to another summer. But just waiting for Ireland now for the sun to eventually come out. But hopefully in the next month or so, Ireland will see some sun.
And what kind of form are you in, like in terms of the actual playing of the game at the moment? How's that going?
It's going okay. I'm not going to lie. It is hard to transition back. I think even self-confidence and the whole psychological aspect of it as well, you know, getting used to the round ball or, you know, probably putting a little bit more perceived pressure on yourself. It is quite difficult, but I've been up, you know, up in my local park trying to practice, even just getting used to the different changing directions, kicking the ball slightly different. And yeah, it's been difficult, but you know, I've had a lot of time now to practice, so that's good. Was
there any opportunity for challenge matches yet? Have you actually got a proper game under your belt?
Yeah, we had a challenge game there just gone by this weekend. So I suppose it was good to just get into an actual game situation. You know, it's well, you know, being able to play an in-house game, but you know, I find the intensity is always a little bit different if you're playing against a different team. So yeah, I've got a good chance, I suppose, last weekend to get a game under my belt before our first round of the league this weekend.
And did you notice that there was also a benefit, I guess, from the time that you spent in Australia, just in terms of like the physical capabilities that you might have versus somebody who didn't have the opportunity to be professional for a short period of time?
Yeah, there is some things you probably find. I told my family and the girls don't expect me to be flying fit now, but in case people had that idea that I'll be able to now, you know, have a little bit more kilometres in my legs. But again, yeah, no, it was, I suppose you do come back with that base level of fitness anyways. But you know, I suppose everyone was doing their own training in lockdown during the past few months. So for me, I suppose I always find there's a difference between match fitness and actually being able to run. So I suppose having that under my belt does help.
You say that there was a little bit of self-imposed pressure coming back, removing yourself from Australia and coming back here again. Could you explain that a little bit and where that pressure is coming from?
Yeah, I suppose, you know, being I suppose in that environment, you're probably your own worst critic. So for me, again, like I said there, you know, I didn't want people to expect me to be flying fit. Not that anyone is, you know, but in your head, you know, you're probably saying to yourself, oh, well, everyone probably thinks I'm going to be extremely fit, or, you know, I'm going to snap back into it straight away. Like I'll not lie. I remember my first training back there in Cavan, and you know, we were doing a shooting drill, and I think I missed 5 out of 6 shots. But after I missed the first one, you know, I kind of got into my own head that, okay, no, you know, everyone's seen I missed the first one. And, you know, it is your own self that's putting the pressure on. So I kind of had to take a step back, you know, and just kind of reanalyze everything and see, you know, why am I putting this pressure on myself? So lucky I kind of snapped out of that straight away and, you know, back to normal now.
Because it is a unique situation where it's like all of a sudden you're a professional sports person and you're going to stick out. I mean, like when people look through the team sheets, even I think the AFLW players are probably more recognisable at this stage. I think it's been great exposure. Like, is that something that you have to have a conversation with your coach about how to deal with that pressure, or do you have conversations around that?
Yeah, you can do. I haven't this year. You know, I kind of just, I suppose, having my sisters beside me, I have 2 sisters with me on the Cavan team, you know, they kind of understand me. So at least I kind of have them to fall back on. And, you know, even if I'm not happy with a performance, you know, they kind of help me with that. But yeah, I know the coaches would be aware, and, you know, I have talked to our coach Jerry about the upcoming games, and, you know, if, you know, players might be targeted, you know, kind of double marked or whatever that might happen. But look, it's probably your own pressure you put on yourself, and probably no need for half it.
That's the thing. It's like there's probably two sides to it. One is the pressure, and then when that dissipates a little bit, there'll be the confidence from the fact that you had a really successful time down there. So there's that, you can lean on that too, I guess, or maybe you need to be able to lean on that a bit.
Yeah, no, definitely you do. And I think, you know, one thing I always say to myself, and, you know, I've always known is that, like, it's okay to make mistakes, you know, so especially, like, for example, that first training back when, you know, my shots I just wasn't connecting with the ball. And, you know, it was my first time kicking the round ball in, you know, in 6-7 months. You know, I was talking to my dad about that, and he's like, you know, again, you have to remember, I know obviously no football has happened here, and I obviously wasn't playing football, but I hadn't actually kicked a round ball really in 6-7 months. So, you know, you can't expect to get straight back into everything. And I suppose then looking back on the season again with the AFL, you know, again, you have to build confidence with that, and that only comes with practice. And once you kind of have that behind you, you know, I felt a lot more comfortable in games this year, which I suppose shown, you know, especially in my second year. So I suppose it'd probably be the same situation here, just having confidence and doing little bits that will help bring up that confidence.
What's the biggest thing you've learned from being in a professional setup so far?
Personally, it's probably how to manage your body. Yeah, probably that and leadership qualities. If I take managing your body, for example, you know, we're very lucky in Collingwood to have physios and doctors and trainers with us all the time. And if we have something wrong, you know, we just have to message one of them and we get seen to straight away. And it's one thing I kind of noticed out there, like in comparison to here, I find if sometimes we have a niggle here or, you know, your hamstring might feel sore, you kind of have that impression that, oh, look at it, it'll be fine, I'll keep training, and probably do more damage than you should. Whereas in Australia, I've found that, you know, they really don't take any chances and you have to be quite upfront and honest, and that probably comes on behalf of the player. And, you know, you have to, if you have any soreness or tightness, you know, you get it seen to straight away. Whereas I've definitely found here, I kind of nearly don't think anything of it because I'm just like, oh, it's fine, I'll get through it. And, you know, that's one thing then I suppose that probably happened a few of us over in Australia, was we didn't probably take our niggles serious, and, you know, probably affected us more so in the long run. So I suppose it's all comes down to the player themselves, but, you know, it's definitely how to manage your body and, you know, taking everything serious, whether it's tightness, soreness or an injury.
Is there a cultural difference there where the Irish way is to play on no matter what you feel?
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, myself and my housemate and teammate Sarah, we would have always said, oh, well, like, they've only tight calf, for example, why aren't they training? And, you know, the two of us, I remember our first week back after in pre-season in January there, so we had done quarantine together and then we were back training, and, you know, we were flat out training, we were doing extra skill sessions, and both of our bodies actually pulled up quite sore. And, you know, we kind of tried to just forget about it and think, oh, it's fine, it's only been back. But, you know, I think then both of us picked up little, you know, niggles along the way, which probably then impacted, you know, the next few weeks. And, you know, then we could really understand why when some of the girls find they might have something wrong, even though it might just be a tightness, that they take it serious and get it seen to. And I think that's only this year we've realised the importance of that.
In terms of the actual game itself, you said you felt more comfortable this year, or there were improvements. What kind of improvements and what areas of your game got better just from being an Aussie rules footballer for the second season?
Definitely found my physicality got better. You know, last year I probably didn't lay as much tackles as I should have. So I kind of did a bit of one-on-one coaching on the tackling technique, because there is a certain technique to it in AFL. So that was one thing I kind of did with my forwards coach, and you know, then it was kind of evident throughout the season. I got a good few tackles majority of games, which, you know, is brilliant for a forward, because it means you're putting on good pressure inside your forward line. So that was one thing I kind of set myself out to work on, and we're very lucky we kind of go through points where we can improve each year where we were good. And, you know, tackling and probably the ground balls is probably my two areas of improvement. So for being able to pick up the ball on the ground, you know, whatever way it's coming, or winning it low on the ground, and then obviously tackling, I think were my two main areas of improvement this year.
And are they transferable? I know the physicality in the women's game is constantly up for review, and the players want it to be more physical, and the rules are kind of catching up with that as well. So is that something you think you'll be able to put into practice in GAA this year?
In some ways, yes, probably more so protecting your body. You know, if I'm going up for a throw up with someone, how to kind of shoulder on shoulder with someone, now not actually, you know, shouldering, but like having that body on body contact and being strong under the ball is probably some way I can use that. Now, obviously not the full on tackle. I don't think that would go down well. But and then obviously, yeah, being able to get low to the ground, you know, that's definitely something that I think is quite transferable to this sport, and probably a little bit easier because it's a round ball. So generally, if it's coming bouncing to you, it will come right at your direction instead of bouncing and going off left or right.
What are the expectations for Cavan? What do you guys think is achievable this year?
I definitely think, you know, you don't want to get too far ahead of yourselves, but a first win probably in the league. Last year's league campaign probably wasn't our best, and you know, I kind of missed that. So I'm excited to, you know, just get out and get playing league. So hopefully get a win under our belt against Monaghan, and we haven't beaten them in a few years, and obviously they're our neighbouring county, so there's always that bit of rivalry. So you'd ideally like to, you know, get a win under your belt, and hopefully, I suppose, come out of that group that we're in, and then maybe make it to league semi. And then I suppose if you take it to championship, we're very lucky to be competing in Ulster Championship. So Ulster is always going to be the main goal, and then, you know, you focus on the Ireland series after that.
What's your expectation in terms of the next AFLW season then, or the seasons that come? Do we expect more Irish players to go down under?
I definitely do think there might be a few more. It's hard to know in the next year, will there be anyone? It is quite hard to get into Australia at the current moment. And then, you know, we might have to do another hotel quarantine again. So players have to take that into account. The season's starting a lot earlier. So training might be starting in September, whereas last year it started late November. So it is that bit earlier. You know, you're going to be playing games over Christmas. So again, that's another Christmas abroad. So I think there's a lot of factors to take into account for next year. But hopefully, you know, if things pick up and, you know, it might be as hard to get into Australia, and, you know, it's not as, I suppose, expensive to try bring international players over. I do think in the next 2 to 3 years, especially with 4 new teams potentially coming in after next year, there might be, you know, up to 5 new Irish players. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, listen, it's obviously been great. As Owen said, the profile of the league's been huge, and it's really helped, I think, the profile of the women's game here as well. I don't know if you feel that, if you kind of feel like that ambassadorial side of it, it's almost completely incidental, and I'm sure it isn't part of your thinking, but it's there.
Oh, 100%. You know, and I was even thinking yesterday, you know, Lidl being able to broadcast the 50 games during the league. You know, that is honestly massive. And yes, it's, I suppose, for people looking in, you know, it is big, but like, I think if you look at it from a player's perspective, you know, it honestly means so much to us. You know, if your family can't make it, your friends, your, you know, supporters, you know, and that's one thing I found, you know, especially from talking to people at home when I was away, you know, they found that sport gave them so much joy, and when nothing else was on. So I think it's absolutely massive. And, you know, what Lidl have done in the past few years for ladies Gaelic football, you know, has been absolutely outstanding. And it's amazing to see, you know, the younger ones aspiring to be county players, and having actual role models to look up towards.
Aishling, good stuff. Thanks a million for joining us. Best of luck with the new season too.
Thank you very much.